Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Don Perata. I'm the state senator that represents Oakland, and we are here this morning in a kind of a bittersweet activity. We all wish that we didn't have to be here because it was the incident here last week where a 10-year-old boy who was playing the piano, taking a lesson inside this building, who was cut down by an errant bullet fired from across the street during an armed robbery. And people have asked, well, we have tragedies all the time where young people are victims of gun violence and gun death. In fact, Jay Logan is here, and he lost a child not too long ago in the same way. And I believe probably the poignancy and significance of this event is no more complicated than it was really the juxtaposition of innocence, a young boy doing what we'd all love our young children to do, learning how to play the piano, some wholesome activity, mother waiting out in the car for him, and someone across the street performing a criminal activity armed with a weapon, I'm sure with no intention to ever hurt a young 10-year-old boy playing the piano. So what we're doing here today is another in a long line of efforts that we in Oakland have been doing for a long, long time, and that is try to do something to first recognize that there are too damn many guns in the community, that they are holding us hostage, that it's the children who are suffering, children from here to there to everywhere that are suffering and are paying the price. Will this effort be any more successful than a dozen other ones that many of us have undertaken over the last 20 or 25 years? I don't know. But if we can get one gun off the street, if there's one less handgun in Oakland, there's one less opportunity for what happened here to Christopher Rodriguez to happen. And the difference perhaps will be, rather than making this an isolated activity, we're going to try to make this a rolling event, a sustained event. We're going to do one here on the 9th of February. We're going to do one later in the month in Richmond, a community that's been under siege for the same kind of thing. And we're going to try to keep the community engaged, talking to merchants, talking to families, because these guns oftentimes come right out of the home of someone who bought it for the best of intentions, for their own protection, the protection of their families. 9 times out of 10, that never happens. They end up either never using the gun, having the gun stolen, or worse, someone in their own immediate family is the one that suffers. I was unfortunately carjacked at gunpoint not too long ago, not too far from here. And frankly, if I'd had a handgun in the car, I probably would not be here talking to you. Any furtive move at all, I'm sure would have ended it right then and there. Because any young person, and this is not an excuse, I think this is the reality, any young person that would commandeer a car, broad daylight, on a Saturday with cars all around, and wait for the red light to change before they took off, wouldn't have much trouble, I believe, shooting the gun that he pointed at me. And in point of fact, the day before he hijacked another car, and that person that he hijacked apparently tried to run away, and they fired at him. So no one's immune from this. No one is going to be exempt from what's happening in this community. And it's not because it's at Piedmont Avenue. Some people, there's a lot of cynicism rolling around right now that, this happened in Piedmont Avenue, and that's why people are rallying it. You got carjacked, all of a sudden it becomes an issue. Anybody that knows me and anybody standing behind me and thousands of other people in Oakland know that the reason that we're here today is because we haven't solved the problem of too many guns. So if one gun goes off the street, it's a victory. If 2 guns goes off the street, it's a better victory. And we're simply going to go and go and go, and we'll see where it takes us. We can't afford to be cynical. We can't afford to be of the mind that nothing that we can do would help. You cannot give up. You can never give up. And if you don't embrace hope, you give into despair. We simply aren't going to do that. So what I'd like to do this morning is to acknowledge the Rodriguezes. They're here. God love them for being here. I can't imagine what they're going through, but they have said to me, if some good can come out of what's happened to our son, then it won't certainly have been worth it, but at least we could recognize a value in what we're going to be going through. So I'd like to ask Mr. Rodriguez if you'd like to say a few words. And he's been, I said, what you've been saying is so important, and he says he's still in shock. So whatever it is, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for being here. Mrs. Rodriguez.
We'd like to express all the concern for our son. It's been enormous, unprecedented. But I'd like to mention the fact my son was shot due to a gun. And if I do believe with the good senator, if we could just eliminate just one gun off the street, maybe the very gun that the person used to shoot my son with, then I think that we will take a tremendous step forward. Something needs to be done, and I think the community is upset that all this crime's taking place here. And I like to see the community as they're doing right now, and they're sick of it too. I love my son greatly. We visit him. He seems to be picking up in spirit. His whole school that he went to, Crocker Highland, they supported him and raised a tremendous amount of money for his future use. And I think the public here who recognize this is a serious, serious problem, not just because my son got shot, but to all of us, and your sons, and your grandmothers, and your sisters, and your brothers. All family members are in jeopardy of injury due to bullets.
Thank you, sir. What we're doing is on the 9th, there will be 3 locations in Oakland, 3 churches, and we wanted to do churches because there is a sanctuary associated with the churches. They are really monuments of peace, places where people go to worship, to reflect, and there were no better, more proper place to do this than at churches. We have 3 locations. This is being sponsored by the Alameda County Public Health Department. They have a foundation, so donations go to the foundations, are converted to cash. Between 10 and 2 on that day, someone can turn in a handgun, no questions asked, and if we get a sufficient number of handguns, we are going to take them to the Crucible Foundry in Oakland, which is a place where artists work, and we're going to have them melted down and forged into some kind of a monument to peace and, if you pardon the pun, harmony. And after this event, we're going to continue to do these. We're going to be going throughout all of the business and commercial districts in Oakland, because what we want to let the merchants know is that those who are investing their lives in helping Oakland to be a vibrant community are not going to be left alone. And we want their involvement, but we also want people to know that these incidents happen. Oakland is a wonderful community. It's a beautiful community. It is, generally speaking, it has been a safe community. So I want to thank the Director of Alameda County Public Health, who, when I was on the Board of Supervisors, was an old guy, and Tony's a young guy. But I'm assuming because he's young, it must have some indication about me. But he's been very delicate not to bring it up. Tony? You want to say a few words?
I think I'm
okay. He's a good man. He doesn't want to talk. One of the locations is going to be Allen Temple, which anybody that's been in Oakland for the last 50 years knows that Allen Temple and its courageous and tireless leader, J. Alfred Smith, is going to be one of the locations. And I want to thank the good Reverend, who's also serving now as a trustee for the California Community Colleges board, and I don't know where he finds all the time. Thank God he does. Reverend Zachary Carey is pastor of True Vine Ministries, will be a host site in West Oakland. Reverend Warham Fears is here from the Christian Cathedral, which is located in Central Oakland. That will be the 3rd site. Also, Bishop Bob Jackson and Bishop Keith Clark, who have been very active over the years in our anti-violence efforts, are involved. Marilyn Washington, who is the founder of the Gaddafi Foundation for Nonviolence. She is the mother of a daughter that was shot and killed in August of 2000. And Jay Logan, who is the founder of Savoy, Stop All Violence on Youth, the father of Jay Logan, who was shot and killed July 2nd in 2006. These are people that know far better than anyone the pain, the anguish, that senseless violence. And I'm not even sure anymore that the word senseless ought to be a modifier for violence. All violence is senseless, but particularly when it takes the life of a child or it cripples and maims the future of a child, it's really senseless. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. We have the flyers here. The pastors that are here are going to distribute these Sunday during their services. We will begin an organized effort a week from tomorrow where we will gather people together and they will go out and start distributing these flyers and talking to people about the problem of Oakland and what they're going to do about it. I also want to conclude by saying this isn't about politicians doing anything. I am here without anybody else because we all recognize that there is a certain amount that we can do, but the real leadership in this community comes out of its spiritual being, and that's in the people that you see here. So I'm here because I've been elected to provide a service. I'm honored to do that, but it's not about politicians. It's really about the community. If politicians had a better answer, believe me, we would provide that answer. We don't, so we're just, this may be a Hail Mary. I'm the only Catholic here, but if it is, it's worth it. So, questions? Anybody? From anybody?
Senator Perata, do you think this is going to do any good? I mean, would a robber hand in his gun?
No, as I said, I don't expect a criminal to walk in and turn in a gun. But I also know enough about this that there are lots of handguns in the hands of criminals that were stolen from people who are law-abiding that bought guns to protect themselves. There's also something to be said for just a common discussion with people that we got too many guns here, we got to get them off the street. You don't think this is a good idea? Give us a better one. So it's really to establish, as much as anything, some kind of a relationship in the community in concert about being against violence.
What about law enforcement? Are you going to be pushing for any new law enforcement?
You know, I've been in Sacramento now for almost 10 years. I've got the assault weapon ban signed into law. I have co-authored a lot of other pieces of legislation that were anti-gun. We got a lot of laws on the books. We got some of the toughest laws in the country. Obviously, the laws aren't enough. So I'm not suggesting for a moment. I think a safe community is the precursor to anything else. If you don't feel safe, you can't take advantage of education, you can't fraternize, you can't spend your money in the community, you can't go to church. But that's one aspect of it. And Oakland right now is, as the mayor said in his State of the City, we need more police officers on the street. We need a lot of things. But one of the things that we do right now is recognize that we have too many guns. Yes, sir.
Senator, you've been working on this for a while. You mentioned being in the Senate for 10 years, passing legislation. I've covered a number of events where you come out, call for one less gun and stop the violence. Do you feel like you're making headway?
Honestly, no. I feel like I'm treading water. But, you know, there are certain things that are constant, and many of them are here right now. But there are many things that change. There are different people. Children get older every day. They are at risk every day. So we have to continue to do the work every day. We have to continue to hope that if we do get one gun off the street, if there's one fewer gun out there, it's going to have a positive effect. I think with it, we owe this to our children and to our grandchildren.
Can the state do anything to help the Oakland Police Department get up to its 803 staffing?
Well, you know, what's unfortunately, the state is in a real financial strait. It's something we predicted for years. Californians have wanted to live in the Golden State, haven't wanted to pay for it. So now we have a governor who talks about Arkansas as being the California dream. I believe that we need to be spending more money in this state on public safety and on education. We're not doing either. We keep talking about the future of our children's education, and we fund it at the 43rd, the level. We're 43rd. Thank God for Mississippi. Otherwise, we would be. So, for me, there's the city of Oakland has to do. Oakland is one of the most generous cities in the world. I mean, every time we put something on the ballot that costs money, we vote for it and we pass it. So we need to better spend the money that we have. And I don't mean that as a criticism. I just mean that as a fact. But I also believe that if people are waiting for the state of California to just saddle up and ride over the hill, it's not going to happen.
Senator, there are cynics who would question your timing in coming out with this announcement, with Prop 93 on the ballot and with all the other tragedies that have occurred in the past few months. Can you explain why you've chosen this particular tragedy as the jumping off point for this gun buyback effort?
Well, it's nothing more complicated than it happened. It happened here. It happened very close to an incident that happened to me. I've learned over the years, if people want to be cynical about the behavior of the politician, line up and have at it. And bring a lunch and beverage, because you're going to have to be in that line a long time. I really don't have time for the cynics. There's not a cynic here right now trying to do anything to make Oakland safer. So have at it with that cynicism. I see what happens to cynics. They kind of shrivel up and become bitter. I'm sorry for them. I pray for them. I got no time for them. Yes.
Following up on your previous remarks about more laws or tougher laws, I mean, the suspect in this case apparently was an ex-offender, and apparently that's a big issue, is ex-offenders back in the street and then getting guns. So, my proposal is to more stops and searches of ex-offenders.
Well, there's a lot. We've got 174,000 people in state prison in California. Since the demise of Russia and South Africa, we now have the distinction of having more people under lock and key in this state than any other place in the world. Any other place in the world. The pillar of democracy has locked up more people than anywhere. And most of the people that are locked up in prison look suspiciously like this man here. So the answer is, the answer is to me that, if locking people up for an extended period of time or forever was going to make us safer, we'd be the safest place in humanity. So that's not the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that when a kid will put a gun in my face to take a material object, he has nothing to lose. And why do we have kids in our society that have nothing to lose?